Recording in progress. There we
I
go.
got it.
All right. My name is Nate,
And I'm Kyle.
and we are starting something that is brand new, and we're calling it "Tell Me About Your Tattoo." So the way that, oh, I'm sorry,
No,
the way
just
that we,
reacting.
yeah, yeah, perfect. Yes, it's good to hear. The way that we imagine that this is going to work is we're going to have a guest on. We're going to ask them to choose one tattoo if they need to have a tattoo, obviously. And they're going to tell us about that tattoo, maybe like how they came to have it, maybe if it has some kind of a deeper meaning for them in their life. And so, yeah, so we're going to begin this episode talking about our own tattoos. Uh, yeah.
Have a few.
That's right. Kyle's got a lot. I've just got a couple.
I do. So I would love, Nate, to hear about yours first. I honestly feel like I could paraphrase the whole story about it because you and I have talked about tattoos before, but it's been a while. For those of you watching, Nate and I have known each other for quite a while, and in that time had lots of conversations. So it feels like a while ago since I've heard about him. So yeah, you want to show them to us first?
Yeah, I'll try here. So circle there, and then around this arm is another circle.
So
Um, yeah, yeah. Well, I feel like you've also probably heard Kyle and I are both teachers, and frequently my students are asking me about my tattoo. So for as long as I could remember, I felt like I was supposed to have a circle here. It's interesting because I actually felt like it was supposed to be, I don't know if I ever told you this, Kyle, here. So
so it's a little
slightly,
off.
yeah. Well, what happened was when I went to get the tattoo artist was like, actually, this is where you want it because that's gonna present better. Like, I guess, when normally, basically, he was trying to say, like, this will be more visible. And so, yeah. So, and I guess I'm of an age where as a teacher, I wasn't so sure about whether or not I could have a tattoo and maybe have some kind of negative impact on my students. And so I left teaching and I was like, I'm going to get my tattoo and so I left teaching to make art full time. And, when I left teaching and I decided to get my tattoo, I went in to get this one and I decided, I don't remember exactly how, but I decided to get a circle around this arm as well. And I felt like this circle was directly related to my art, and I didn't really understand how. But what I've come to believe, and I used to be a little weird about telling people about this, but what I have come to believe, and I feel really pretty strongly about it, is that this is a channel and energy enters here and the energy flows through me and then through this circle and then this hand is my hand that I use to draw and to make all of the art and paintings that I make, and I make quite a bit of art now. And I used to have kind of a block, or I felt like I had a block where I didn't know what to make. I would have a hard time thinking of what's the next thing I'm going to make. And now, Kyle, I just make
Just
a lot
flows,
all the time,
flows.
nonstop. Where do I put this thing now? Because I don't have space for all the art. So, um, yeah. So those are my tattoos. They're pretty simple too. It's just pretty fine line, and I've thought about getting more, but I'm good with that for now. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
what
that's
I think I've always appreciated, what I think I've always appreciated about those two is it's two circles, but they're not like it's completely different. And there's just something in that to me of like there's not one way to draw a circle. Like it's still a circle going, it's not a line, it's a circle. And like to say I've got a circle on each arm, you think, oh, well, that's simple and it looks the same, not the same at all. And I've always appreciated that.
I run into that too with students because a lot of students they see this one just as a line. It's like, no, it's actually another circle. And it is,
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that too much, but it's kind of cool that it's like they're on two different planes, you know, that's
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
how many tattoos do you have? What's your count?
Ooh, it depends on how you count them because some of them come in sets, I feel like. So, uh, going chronologically in my head, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and this is so it's either eight or nine, depending on how you count them, because one of them is like a combo. I guess having to choose. To tell you a little bit about my arm, and I suppose at some point I might tell you more about like others of these. But like Nate said, we're both teachers, and children's lit is something that I've always kind of had a passion for. It's something that I've always enjoyed in teaching is doing read alouds and getting kids to love books. So my right arm, I am slowly filling in with children's literature, characters, and I had a realization not that long ago that they're all pairs. And I didn't realize that until I was like halfway filled in my arm. So the duo I'll tell you about today is, let's see if we can get there. We can see that. So here I have the Little Prince and the Fox. For those of you who have read the book, um, it's a really powerful, important part of the story. For those of you who haven't, the Little Princess from outer space comes to Earth after leaving a rose on his planet that it was just him and the rose, and she was kind of fickle and um, needy, and he was just done with it. And so he leaves. He ends up on Earth, and at one point enters a rose garden where there's hundreds of roses, and realizes she wasn't the only one, and he ends up like breaking down crying because he thinks there was nothing special about her. And then he meets the fox who um, tells him to tame him. He tells the little prince, "Tame me." And so they start spending time together. And when it comes time for the little prince to leave, he they both like cry. And the little prince is like, "This is your fault." And he's like, "Yeah, but like now when I see the wheat in the field, it'll remind me of your hair. And when I see the stars, it'll remind me of you because you come from there, and I'll be the only one that has stars that laugh, and I'll be the only one who has those memories with the wheat in the field." So um, I feel like for me, I'm a person who like second guesses things, or it's always like looking for bigger and better. And it was this really important message of like the people in our lives are not important because they're the only human on earth with some innate ability or quality. But the entire reason anyone matters to us is the time we've spent with them and the memories we've created with each other. And so like, you know, in the end, the prince wants to go back and be with his rose. So um, I end up any group I work with really, like I think back to the people that worked for me at camp this past summer, um, students in some capacity. I end up telling, if not the entire story of the Little Prince, at least the Prince and the Fox, just to like make sure we don't take for granted that that bond is what's special and that time we spend together. So yeah, probably my favorite tattoo at the moment anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. That's cool. Cool, man.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing.
feel like there's got to be some way that we like wrap this up. Like there's got to be that like what's our last question on these episodes? Like something about tattoos or us like before we go, like
Yeah, yeah.
if you if you could get another tattoo, if and when you get another tattoo, what do you think it'll be?
Oh,
Is
okay.
what comes to mind.
No, I think that's good. Like, what's your next?
Yeah. So Nate, what's your next?
That's funny because I do have an intention for that, and it basically is like expanding this notion of the energy traveling through me. Um, from this circle, I have the notion of having more circles, and I want them to be related to the what's the math that's perfect and represents the spiral, the Fibonacci, is that it?
Yep.
Um, so I want the circles to be of that distance, whatever that, a number that relates to that distance, if that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
so tying it into that Fibonacci is that perfect spiral that you find it throughout nature, and you can tie that directly to measurements or to numbers, and so it's like 7 inches and then 5 inches, and then even have the notion of having a circle around my finger, and that basically it's just directing that energy that much
Yeah.
more specifically. So
I
what about
love it.
you?
Well, so clearly continuing my children's lit ideas. I've had a couple recently that I really liked. I think the one that I've landed on is Frog and Toad. Will probably be next on there. Like you can kind of see that there are different styles and whatnot on my arm. So I've got to decide, am I going for the artwork from the book? Because I've certainly done that with some like existing artwork, and then like we might talk about these another time, but
Yep.
that is supposed to be Baloo and Bagheera, and they look nothing like the Disney Baloo and Bagheera. So do I want like you know traditional frog and a toad, or there's artwork in the book? I would be thrilled with either one of those. Because those are, another special to me book that I've taught with kids, and seems really simple, but you can draw a lot out of really simple stories. I love some Frog and Toad.
Well, I think it's cool just the way your tattoos potentially open up the opportunity to have conversations about, you know, about those things like that. That's cool.
Yeah, maybe that's a teaser for like, maybe we'll talk some more about some of mine, but like things I've realized about Baloo and Bagheera and why they're special to me, and the Walrus and the Carpenter, and lots of conversations for sure.
Well, that's one of the things I think is going to be most interesting as we talk to other people about their stories. Is just like I think tattoos are it's such a personal thing for anybody. It's permanent. It's a decision that I think most people don't take lightly, and I think it'll be very interesting to hear where people are coming from with whatever they do. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all
All
right, man.
right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nate. This has been fun. I
Thank
look
you,
forward to doing
Cal.
it many more times.
Yes, we'll see you.